Okay, so I'm gonna completely pull back the curtain and show you everything that goes into designing a brand identity system. Now, some of you guys have seen our past video on how to design a brand identity system, and we got a lot of good feedback, a lot of thumbs up, a lot of questions, and then also a lot of people asking us to go a little bit deeper. And so I'm gonna use a current client of ours as a case study just to show you the entire process from how we met the client until final delivery of the logo and the brand identity system. So the Fresno Mission, they come to us through word of mouth, through referral. They know who we are, and they fill out an inquiry on our website, and they just said they need help with redesigning the brand. Now, I got kind of excited because I know who the Fresno Mission is. In fact, in the past, I've served and volunteered there, and I know a little bit about the ministry. Now, if anybody knows me, they know that I'm passionate about what we do at Butler, but I'm really passionate about serving and doing ministry. And so anytime we get a client that does both of those things, or that allows me to do both of those, then I get really excited. So I responded, I said, okay, let's set up a meeting, and I want to hear kind of your thoughts. And so the very first contact I had was actually with the CEO. So the long and the short of it was that the organization is growing, but their brand and their communication, their identity, their website, none of their marketing communication materials have caught up with the growth of the organization. And so the CEO came and he kind of explained the situation. On top of that, they were working with another agency. And so this kind of throws a loop in it. And the reason why is because if a client comes to me and they're already working with another agency or they've already invested money, they come usually a little bit hesitant because they have the baggage from whatever went wrong in that previous relationship or whatever's going wrong in the current process that they're in, and they've already invested financially. And so they're kind of coming in with a little bit of hesitation. He shared that with me, that they're working with an agency. The problem is that this particular agency promised 3 concepts of their updated logo. After the 11th one being rejected, the organization determined that they probably weren't going to be able to meet their needs, and so they started looking for another agency. So we weren't the first choice for them. They actually came to us after they had started this process with another agency. And so I said, okay, well, I think it'd be good for us to have a sit down. Let me meet with you and the team that's going to be involved with this. And so they scheduled an appointment. It was with the CEO, the marketing director, and the programs director, and the 4 of us sat at my office and we had a sit down. Now, the reason why I'm going into the details of this is because managing a design project or a creative project like this, it really does start at that first meeting. The first meeting before you even talk about budget or timeline or any of that stuff, it's so important because you're managing expectations. You're letting them know who you are. You're letting them know what the process is like. You're letting them know what to expect, why you're learning about who they are and what they're expecting to get out of a redesign, especially if a company or an organization is rebranding. Usually they don't just wake up and say, hey, I want to invest a lot of money into changing everything we've done. There's usually some reason driving the decision. And so you want to learn about all of that. And so you do all of that in your first meeting. So in our first sit down meeting, it was me, the CEO, the marketing director, and their programs director. And I just asked a ton of questions. Why rebrand? Why now? What's going on? What are you guys hoping to accomplish? And I learned that their current needs and pain points went beyond just aesthetics. Their logo did need updating. It was outdated. Their design, it was just time for a refresh. But the problems that they were mentioning in that first meeting went beyond just aesthetic problems. And they were talking about, we're not clearly communicating who we are. We've grown a lot in the last several years. We've expanded past a lot of the services that we're doing, and we're talking to different people. And now we have this disconnect between all of the different subsidiaries and sub-brands that we have as an organization. We're not clearly communicating how we're trying to raise funds. We want a unified vision to share with our team so that we could share that with everybody else that we're communicating to. We want to make sure that anything that we redesign, that is going to be appropriate for not only all of the different materials that the logo is going to go on, but also all of the sub-brands that we have. Should we redesign or have a logo that can be designed for each of these sub-brands? So they had all kinds of questions. And so I'm just letting them talk. I'm asking a bunch of questions. And then, you know, I asked, why do you not feel the current agency you're working with is able to meet the standards that you guys are looking for? And they shared with me, and basically the thing that they shared was what I hear from a lot of people. Basically, the agency that was initially hired went straight to design after probably a couple of questions, probably one sit-down meeting. They thought they understood the needs of the client, and then they just went straight to design. They didn't really have a thorough process of discovery or strategy. So that way, when the designs came back to the client was really suspicious that this organization, this agency doesn't really know who we are. This isn't going to be the right fit for us. And so there was a lot of hesitation and a lot of pushback. And so then they started questioning every single design decision. Some of the designs, I looked at all the 11. I can't share them because I don't want to put another agency's work out there like that. But some of the designs were probably perfectly fine. They could have worked. Some of them, I agreed, needed help. But the reason why they didn't work for the client was because the agency didn't take the time to really understand the needs, nor get to know the organization intimately to develop a thorough strategy that spoke to the design. Therefore, there was a lot of hesitation. And so in that first meeting, I shared with the client our approach. And so the reason why this is so important is because, again, you're setting the expectations. You want to let them know how you're planning to approach the execution of this design project. I told them that when we design a brand identity system, it's not just the logo. I love Marty Neumeyer's definition of what a brand is. He said, your brand is not your logo, it's not your products or your services, it's not even your identity system. Your brand is the gut feeling that people have when they think about the Fresno Rescue Mission. It's the feeling that they have. So technically, we can't design a brand. But we can influence a brand's identity, right? We can influence that gut feeling that people have, and we do that through design. And so when we design, we have a filter through which we determine what is good or bad design. I showed them a video that I always show my clients. It's a really helpful video. It's a 2-minute video, and we'll link to that in the description below. But it's a video that the Future put out from Sagi Haviv, and he talks about the 3 rules of good logo design. Basically, is it appropriate? Is it distinct? And is it simple? Is it appropriate in the feeling? Is it appropriate for the industry? If it's for sports, it might be bold and dynamic. For fashion, it might be elegant. Is it distinct, meaning it's different enough to persist in our mind, it's unusual enough to persist in our mind, you can look at it and you can remember it. And that's kind of where magic happens. Is it appropriate for the industry and the feeling, yet different enough to where it's not going to get lost in the sea of competition? And then the third, is it simple? Too many details are going to get lost when you scale down. It has to be simple. And then I add a 4th rule, is it versatile? How can we use this logo? Can we use this as design elements? Can we scale it up in large formats? Can we scale it down to as small as like a favicon? And is it versatile to be used across all of your different marketing collateral? So I let them know that that's kind of the filter through which we determine what's a good logo and what's a bad logo. But our process starts with discovery. And so in order for me to know what's appropriate for your industry, I have to know who you guys are as an organization. And the way we do discovery, it's a half-day facilitated session facilitated by me, where I just walk through a bunch of different exercises that fall in 4 primary categories with you and your key stakeholders. And this is me talking to the client. I said, we talk about the business, the brand, the users, and the marketing. So discovery, again, it's half day. I'm meeting with you and your stakeholders, and we have exercises that fall in each one of those 4 categories. For the business, I want to learn about the organization. Where's the money coming from? Where is it going to? What are our different our different ministries and services that you guys are offering? How is the organizational hierarchy broken down? Where are we going? What are our global business objectives? What are our key performance indicators? So I'm learning really generally who the rescue mission is. Then we move to the brand. Okay, now that we know what you guys do, who are you? How, if we were to describe the brand as a person, put some meat on the bones, how would we do that? So we talk about brand attributes, we go through messaging examples, we go through design exercises to figure out what would be appropriate for the brand. After we talk about the business of the brand, then we talk about the users. Because at the end of the day, these are the people that we're designing for. We're not necessarily designing for the Fresno Rescue Mission. We're designing for the Fresno Rescue Mission's people that they serve, right? So that's obviously the people that are taking advantage of the services, but the people also who are donating and giving and supporting the organization. And so I wanted to make sure that we built out user profiles, or at least mapped out the user's journey, and especially who's going to be seeing this brand. Like, I wanted to make sure that we understood who we're talking to, who we're communicating to. And then the very last set of exercises we talk about is marketing. So this, when we design a brand identity system, it's going to be on marketing collateral. So what type of marketing collateral? What is your marketing strategy? What have you done historically? Where are you going in the future? Let's make sure that this makes sense for all the different types of marketing that you're going to be doing. And so I told the client this in the first meeting, that that's our process of discovery. You guys give us a couple of weeks. I meet with my team and I discuss all of the insights that we gather from discovery, and we create a strategy document. The strategy document is a comprehensive playbook that speaks to the brand in all four of those categories: the business, the brand, the users, and the marketing. It's just a reiteration of everything that the organization has already said about themselves.